Well, bowling fans, are back at Classic Lanes Greenfield, the 7th edition of this Wisconsin Women's Open, the 2014 version, of course, even though we're getting near the end of the year here in the holidays. And, Joey, 4 women in the finals, 4 very strong women. A tough lane pattern, not difficult to overcome, but I think these ladies with the talent out there, we could see a few scores shot out here today.
Well, right. It's anybody's match, too. There's no clear-cut favorite today. They're all equally skilled players, all shot makers. I think it's who gets the ball off their hand the cleanest and has the best pin carry.
$600 first place prize out there thanks to our sponsors here at Classic Lanes Greenfield. We're going to come back with that opening match for the 2014 Wisconsin Women's Open in just a moment, so make sure you stay tuned. Eileen's Bowling Buddy, used by high school and college coaches and members of the PBA Tour to train, warm up, and rehab. Get all the information at eileensbowlingbuddy.com. Why do we have so many of our televised tournaments at Castle Lanes? Because we love being part of the wild side of bowling. If you're ready to get in touch with your wild side, go to castlelanes.com. Opening match for the 2014 Wisconsin Women's Open from Classic Lanes in Greenfield. I want to thank our host proprietor, Gina Darashevsky, for another great event here, focusing on the ladies at Classic Lanes Greenfield. And leading things off, Joey, a 2-time defending champ in the Badger Queens tournament, Lindsay Siegel out of Gurnee, Illinois.
That is correct. She won in 2013 as well as this year. Not an easy task for any female.
Back-to-back years winning that tournament, and I believe she's the first person in the 30-plus year history of that event to win back-to-back years. And with the form and strikes like that, you can see why she can win those titles.
Yeah, she's got a nice deep knee bend, follows through, solid at the line. Definitely a game that some of the youngsters can model themselves after.
And then stepping up now in lane 14 here at Classic Lanes Greenfield, Charlie Bolter out of Oshkosh. That high set, 826. Recently had another 800, a little smaller, earlier this season. She's been in a pretty good roll.
Charlie likes to strap it up a little bit, as you'll soon see.
Yeah, very short steps getting in the line, but she hits it up on the bottom. And, wow, how about that for an opening shot break, tripping the 4-pin out from behind.
Well, like they say, Phil, it's not how, it's if you strike, and she'll take that opening shot, get those jitters out of the way.
Yeah, seeing the replay here, what hits that, and it looked like it was the 8-pin that bounced off the 10, fell back into the 4-pin, so some interesting pin action there.
And typically 8-pins don't do us any favors, they just stand there and laugh.
No doubt about that. Looking for that early double here.
You see Charlie stayed down at the foul line a little better that shot, and opening double.
There we go. Pattern art today, Kegel's Broadway pattern. It's 37 feet in length. It's not a sport or PBA type pattern. It's a little easier than that. It's a 4-to-1 oil ratio, where their sport and PBA patterns are usually at 2 or 3-to-1. But these ladies need to make quality shots and make sure that their speed's consistent to keep hitting the pocket. And you're going to see these ladies use pretty straight angles through the front part of the lane. The way this pattern's playing, it didn't really help you a lot to belly the ball out too far. And a great shot there by Lindsay to get her double.
Yeah, they're going about it differently, though. Lindsay using a pearlized ball, polished, in ebonite pivot point. A ball that's basically clean through the front part of the lane, meaning the first 40 feet, but a little bit of a quicker back-end motion. So not quite a skid flip, but pretty close.
Yeah, an unusual year here at the Wisconsin Women's Open. Usually there's 2 or 3 women from Illinois that ended up making these televised finals. Lindsay, the only Illinois representative on the finals this year. Another nice turnout. We want to thank all those ladies from south of the border for coming up and supporting this great event.
Well, they do tend to support quite a few of the local tournaments in the Milwaukee area, which is good to see. It increases numbers, helps the prize fund.
Absolutely. $600 top prize here today for the Wisconsin Women's Open, thanks to the sponsorship of Classic Lanes Greenfield. And
it's like Lindsay wants to bring the cheese back home to Illinois, Phil.
Absolutely. Look at that. 5 shots, 5 strikes out there. And if we do happen to get a 300 game on TV today, it's not only the $300 cash bonus from EBC Productions and Essential Bowling Concepts, but Gina Darashevsky has offered a $300 bar tab as well. I don't know if they're going to be able to get through that all in one afternoon, but they probably will find a few friends after shooting 300 today.
Well, I would think. And we look at Charlie's game, and a little bit more of a down and in type player, using a strong, solid reactive resin, the Rotogrip Hypercell. which gives her a little bit more traction through that mid lane portion, but less snap on the back end. It's more of an arcing piece. It kind of suits Charlie's physical game more so, being a little bit firmer with speed player, let's say.
And kicks that 10 out that time for her 4 in a row. Yeah, very reminiscent of our top seed today, Katie Zwiefelhofer, who we've seen in a lot of our past Youth Challenge Series shows. She's aged out of those tournaments. Now she's bowling in adult events. And you know, if you watch the ball going down the lane between Charlie and Katie, it'd be pretty tough to tell the difference between the two.
Yeah, both shot makers, not power players.
And both with a pretty good amount of ball speed, getting that ball down the lane. See Lindsay here making sure that shoulder's nice and relaxed, elbow back to get the ball into the swing. It's a little right at target from where she wanted to be, and yeah, with not coming up, that's where we get the 10-pin coming into play.
Yeah, soft 10-pin on that, and the ball covered a lot of real estate at the end, and just ran out of a little bit of its drive. You can see a little deflection upon entry. I see a little bit of Deandra S. Beatty in Lindsay's physical game. How about you?
A little bit, especially with the footwork. She gets herself, make sure that shoulder's nice and relaxed, it's open in the setup. Deandra's a 5-stepper, Lindsay only a 4, but the post position, getting that arm swing fluid through the bottom of the shot, yeah, definitely hints of Deandra there. If you got an upcoming holiday Christmas party, New Year's Eve celebrations, I know they got a pretty big New Year's Eve package here for bowling at Classic Lanes Greenfield. Give Gina Dereshevsky, Aaron, and a staff here a call. They'll get you all hooked up with their holiday party packages. And oh yeah, they got a brand new menu here. I got to try some of the food today, and it was very, very tasty. Hand battered onion rings, dipped right before they put them in the fryer. Tasty, tasty stuff. Lindsay bounces back. She gets that strike going into the first commercial break of the afternoon. Joe Serrano and I will be back from Classic Lanes Greenfield with the rest of our opening match for the 2014 Wisconsin Women's Open in just a moment. Back at Classic Lanes Greenfield for the 2014 Wisconsin Women's Open. Had the women continue bowling through the commercial break to save on time. Charlie Bolter steps up in her 5th frame, throws another strike for 5 in a row, and adds another one onto that string for the front 6 in the 6th frame. Lindsay Siegel, slightly behind in the match, steps up in her 6th frame, matches Charlie's strike in the 6th, steps up in frame number 7, hacks the pocket for another strike, and with that we'll get back to the action with Phil Brilo and Joe Serrara on the call. Splits the 8 and the 9, keeps herself in contention.
You remember those days, Phil, when you were young and we could get nice and low at the foul line?
I can do it once a night, and then it's pretty much done from there. So every shot after that, after the one that you get really low and it feels good getting off your hand, the rest of them just don't feel the same.
Yeah, we laugh about it, but
it's neat seeing these bowlers adapt. As you know, we see young bowlers like Katie Zwiefelhofer, we've seen for 7 years on TV now, thanks to her friends here at Time Warner Cable Sports Channel, and the changes she's made to her game is, you know, she's grown and gone through college and gained a little height and gained a little muscle with all the bowling and workouts that she was doing at UW Whitewater, and you know, you get to watch the little changes that these bowlers make to stay successful.
well, her game has gotten stronger over the years. We've seen it even from young on. She was known for accuracy, but didn't quite have the power she does now. As Charlie just keeps on striking while we babble.
Looking for that snowman. She's got it. The 8 in a row.
At the front 8.
Called, cool, and collected. It's just like nothing's unusual out there for her with the front 8 on TV right now.
Yet the match is still anybody's game.
Absolutely. With Lindsay Siegel can still shoot 279 if she goes off the sheet. All it would take is one little slip up by Charlie. Even an 8 count would cost Charlie the lead if Lindsay can get back stringing strikes in a row here. We saw that last year in the action alternate shot doubles where Mike Jamrose and Kyle Gertz, and Kyle left an 8 count as their only blemish on the game, and they lost 279 to 278 to Tony and Rochelle Roventini, and Lindsay not happy with that 4-pin on that shot. She knows her work's cut out for her now.
Yeah, and I think she knew that right at release. She was either in just a touch or a touch soft with speed, but you know, the ball still held pocket. but a tap here, if she strikes the next frame, that's costing her 21 pins, so her score is down into the 250s if she goes sheet the rest of the way.
Yeah, you know, every little bit of pressure that she can keep applying to Charlie, you got like the double whammy going. You know you got to keep striking to stay ahead in the match, but then you also have to keep striking to try to get that perfect game award as well.
Well, we'll see if the pressure gets to Charlie. My guess is it won't. She should be able to relax more since she has the match more in control right now.
Yeah, strike by Charlie in the 9th frame, no matter what, would lock up this match for her. Better shot by Lindsay. Yeah, did not let that ball leak out to the right as much, and you could see that ball when it got in the pocket, split everything left and right.
Yeah, it finishes very deep through the pins, and could leave a 9-pin because it's finishing, as you see. Well, that was pretty much splitting the 8-9, but a little stronger, and it could leave a solid 9.
Yeah, she knew she threw a good shot there, and you know, if you come out on the losing end of a match like this on TV, knowing you were good enough to get out there and have the confidence to shoot 240 or 250, even in a losing battle, it's going to help you build your confidence in the next tournament you walk up and shoe up in. And that one just a little slow at release and just crept high on Charlie, and she left that 4-pin.
So, you know, back-to-back high 4-pins on this right lane. Could be the lane breaking down slightly.
So watch that ball just right through the face. That little extra angle it had coming in didn't allow the 2-pin to trip the 4. And once again with Charlie, all right, I didn't get my 300. I still got to get out here and spare up and win this game and move on.
She knows she needs the spare conversion here. You don't want to give it back to your opponent. Goes pretty direct with her strike ball, right in the oil. So she's doing a little math in her head right now. You see her peeking up at that scoreboard. She knows the first one in the 10th here kind of locks it up for her.
Yeah. Once again, looks like she's using the turbo thumb system there. Real easy quarter turn, and it's locked into the ball.
Quarter turn, whereas the Vice It system, you have to twist pretty much 180 degrees around.
Well on target line, and slaps the 10 out and locks up the victory.
Yeah, I think she's happy with the carry on that. I think she didn't throw her best shot, but 10 down is 10 down, Phil.
Absolutely, and it gets into her semifinal match against Shannon Lubinsky. Shannon, the only bowler to shoot 300 today during the tournament. She did that in the semifinal round against Shirley Stahl. And that moved her from 5th place into 3rd, where she stayed after the semifinals were complete. Nice and just loose on that follow through. You see the speed. The hand comes through the ball, up and through, and I'm Shannon right now. I'm watching where Lindsay's playing and trying to work off of that, because Shannon and Lindsay are kind of similar in ball speed and ball reaction.
Yeah, well, Shannon may hook it a little bit more. We'll see what her plan of attack is in her next match. It's a good shot off the hand. Boy, that ball faces up pretty much in the back 5 or 10 feet.
She gives a little princess wave or queen wave there to her strike to her fans in the crowd.
Yeah, it's hard to smile sometimes when you lose.
Especially when you're going to probably be in the 240s or 250s and lose, no doubt.
Right, but I'm sure Lindsay will attest to the fact you have to know how to lose before you can know how to win. You need to be gracious and thankful and appreciative of being there, because you're not going to win as often as you're going to lose.
Exactly, and we know she's going to be back in 2015. And the Badger Queens is held up in Oshkosh in May, looking to be a 3-time in a row titleist up there. It was 3-peat trademarked in bowling. I know it's trademarked in basketball. So we're going to let Lindsay shoot her last shot here. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with that semifinal match between Charlie Bolter and Shannon Lubinsky from Classic Lanes Greenfield in just a moment. Make sure you stay tuned. Lindsay Siegel finished with a strike, 258, not enough to get past Charlie Bolter. A great game. First 8 strikes for Charlie. The 278 finish, and Charlie moves up the stepladder here to face our number 2 qualifier in the semifinal match, Shannon Lubinsky. Shannon with a lot of work in our last telecast, running the Junior Hall of Fame tournament that we had on here on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. She got the bowling ball out today, got herself in the 2nd place with the 300 game during the semifinals.
Yeah, Shannon knows how to get the game done. She knows how to throw 300s. She's had high series of 795, and not the way she wanted to start the match, but she'll take 9 spare instead of a split.
Yeah, she was talking with her brother-in-law, Dave Levinsky, before the match when she was practicing, and the ball she's using out there right now, she gave it a little scuff with a scuff pad after her last practice shot. So Dave said get a little more surface on the ball, get a little different look on the back end of the lane, and maybe that first shot just kind of caught her by surprise how much the surface change affected.
You're right, a freshly sanded surface will read the lane a little bit quicker and sooner than after it's got one or two frames on it, let's say. It gets a little oil.
Yeah, and you see Shannon goes back to talk to her brother-in-law, Dave, right there. Husband Steven sitting looking on, contributing as needed to the team effort there. And Charlie's got to be feeling pretty good coming off an 8 in a row, 278 game.
Charlie knows, that last game, all those strikes have nothing to do with this match. It's going to take another good effort and actually a pretty good opening shot. Not a good result.
No, 5-pin got picked off by something coming back across the deck, probably the head pin. Keep checking out the replay here, and yeah, the head pin stopped the 5-pin.
Yeah, I don't know if the 5 would have got there anyway, but now we typically see scores going down slightly in Game 2 and Game 3 of matches due to what they call oil transition. You want to talk about a little bit of that? To explain to our viewers exactly why scores go down?
Well, oil's a fluid, so when it moves around as an invisible fluid, you can't tell exactly what's being moved. Could oil be carried down on a bowling ball that doesn't flare as much as another bowling ball does? Could it be just being removed off the end of the pattern? Is there not as much in the middle of the lane as there is towards the front of the lane? And it's all those little variables added up that the bowlers have to keep analyzing and thinking of in order to keep hitting the pocket.
Right. So when we say a week 10, let's say Charlie, her carry goes a little south compared to Game 1. Good shot off her hand. Good result there. But let's say she leaves a soft 10. It's not only from oil carry down possibly, but that mid lane oil going away. The ball reads that mid lane quicker, which means it can lose a little bit of its back end energy. And what we perceive as less back end is the fact it's reading earlier.
Yeah, and you'll see that if you watch bowlers during the Pro Tour, even on a regional event during qualifying, they're watching that bowling ball from the moment they can pick it up past their eyes when it gets on the lane all the way through the pocket to see what that motion is doing, to see if it was something with their release or something with how the oil is transitioning. And Shannon makes that nice adjustment there, give it a little more room to the right to get herself a strike and back to even.
Yeah,
and then it's key even during league plays, even if your pattern's 10 or 12 to 1, or it's just the wall of China in the middle, you need to know where some of that wall is moving around to stop leaving. As you said, those weak 10s, or all of a sudden you get a 4-pin, you thought you threw the ball real well.
Yeah, and that heavy oil wall in the middle doesn't always make it easy for bowlers because of the extreme drop-off that can occur when there's so much dry to the right. See if Shannon can get her double. Pretty good shot there. Ball finished behind the 8-pin.
Absolutely. I mean, and all these ladies on a tougher pattern here, this 4-to-1 ratio, Kegel's Broadway pattern, 37 feet in length, all averaged over 218 to make the TV show. Katie Zwiefel for leading, averaging 239.4 to make the TV show today. So it's a pretty good morning and afternoon of bowling there for Katie and all these ladies.
Right, and scores are high, and that doesn't necessarily mean the condition is all that easy. It means good execution from the bowlers. And as you see, a soft 10 there, which we hadn't seen earlier.
And I think she got a little bit spinny on the release on that one to go with the oil getting down there. You can see there, yeah, the ball just not picking up the lane as strong as it was earlier.
Yeah, a lot of deflection upon entry, and only Charlie knows why. If it came off her hand clean and it hit that weak, she'll make a move. And that's one thing we see the pros, when they move on the approach with their feet and then they look at a different target, they don't make a 1 or 2 board move like we typically do. They move 5 boards at a time, 8 boards at a time, and go into a whole new zone on the lane.
And try to use the oil that's there for as long as possible to their advantage before needing to make another move.
Right, but they need that fresh oil. Their rev rates are higher than ours. They definitely know where to read the ball on the lane. Let's see if Charlie makes any adjustment off that soft 10, even though it was on the other lane.
Much stronger roll. You can see that ball pick up
yeah.
about 5 feet sooner with that nice clean release. And yeah, I think she knows that that 10 pin in the third frame was all her and not the lane, because when you get 10 back that quick off the deck, that ball's doing work. Well, Shannon Lubinsky can strike here, get herself back into a tie game.
Mom wants to give a shout out to her daughters,
Mercedes and Genevieve.
And Genevieve.
Yeah.
Two very pretty names.
Funny, in the back before, between games waiting, you could hear Genevieve and Mercedes singing the Let It Go song from Frozen back and forth. So that was a little amusement for the bowlers and the fans between games as Shannon was warming up.
As Mom takes a 4-pin forward, which we don't see too often. You'll see the 2-pin sometimes fall forward, but not a 4-pin.
A nice 20-pin lead for Shannon Lubinsky after 4 frames in this match.
It looks like Shannon is using a hammer deadly aim. She is a former hammer staffer, one of the best.
Yeah, quite a few ladies around here. The Hammer Ladies team from back in the late part of the 2000s and early part of the 2010s put up some national record games and series out there for 5 women teams, and still enough of them. They're all bowling that I know of. You see Laura Matilla on Thursday night sometimes with her husband Steve at Riviera Lanes, and there's a plaque there behind lanes 3 and 4 when the Hammer Ladies shot 1332 for a team game, 5-woman team game. Pretty impressive.
I think the only plaques you and I have there are when we hit the pocket. We leave the plaque 7 or the plaque 10.
I've got a drinking trophy there, but that's another story we'll get into at another time, since we have to get into a commercial break right now. We'll be back with the rest of the semifinal match from Classic Lanes in Greenfield for the Wisconsin Women's Open in just one moment. Shannon Lubinsky with a 17-pin lead here in our semifinal match from Classic Lanes in Greenfield. Once again, I want to thank host proprietor Gina Dereshevsky for all the hospitality today, getting these women in the door, getting them bowling. Another great field here for the Wisconsin Women's Open, fighting out for that $600 first place prize today. And Charlie Bolter looking to string some strikes together like she did in Game 1, Joy.
Well, yeah, her carry percentage has gone down a little bit, but we know Charlie can string strikes, as attested by her 14 300 games.
Gets that one to roll up nicely, and the 6 does some work out of the flat gutter on the 10.
Yeah, and that's the lane that's giving her a little bit of issue. She's had a couple taps on that lane already, so she may have made a little move.
Yeah, bottom of that 6-pin comes out of the flat gutter, takes the 10-pin out, gets herself right back into this match. You can see here for Charlie, well up on the approach, short 4-step delivery, really gets the ball moving early in her approach. Right up about 7th board, and how about that for the slow fall in 10?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite strikes, when you hit the 6 to do its job, and the 10-pin just barely tips over.
Well, here's the about 8 degrees of lean that 10-pin got to. Normally needs 7.5.
Just enough.
And once again with Charlie, I think the stare down scared it and knocked that 10-pin down.
It would scare me. So now Shannon knows she's going to have to stay on the strike train here, and
bounce back. This has been a good lane. She's 2 for 2 so far. She's having a little trouble going high once in a while on lane 13, but she's hit the pocket twice, struck twice.
Shannon known for her solid approach, stays low at the line, carries the wall shot. That helps loosen up that swing a little bit.
Yeah, 4-pin getting kicked all the way back across the pin deck into the right gutter. And you know, your ball's working when you can do something like that on a light hit with a little slower ball speed, such as Shannon's out there. But it's not about how fast you hit the pins, how slow you hit the pins. It's hitting that pocket with a strong roll and making those pins work amongst themselves and knock each other down.
Shannon mentions she'd like to thank her loving husband, Steven, her #1 fan, her young daughters for inspiring her to be the best she can be, her ball driller, Billy Rodriguez, and most importantly, her parents for getting her started in our sport. And she carries the can opener.
How about that? Back on the strike train, keeping that lead out at 7 pins. But Charlie Bolter, if she can get another strike here for 4 in a row in the 7th, can take that lead right back.
We'll see if Charlie makes a little more of an adjustment on 14 after just tripping that 6 into the 10. So would you move left or right when your ball's just not quite driving through, Phil?
I'd move just a fraction to the right if I was Charlie on the approach. Make sure that ball faces up early enough to get to the pocket.
And it looks like she did, and perfectly done. Great advice, Phil.
Yeah, and she kept that ball a little bit left as well at release. You know, if she tried to float that shot to the right, it would probably have been a weak 10 pin. The more direct that she can play the shot from lane to lane, the more strikes that Charlie's going to carry out there. Looking for that handful, 5 in a row, and extend her lead out to 13 pins.
Charlie staying with the same ball, the dull hypercell, but with her ball speed, with her roll, I think that's a good matchup as she trips the 4-9.
And that wasn't laying there. That was her missing a little left, but keeping that speed through the shot. Doesn't let that ball hook up early and manages to trip out the 4 and the 9. Watch that head pin go to the sidewall and just barely get the bottom of that 4 pin down.
Shannon on her good lane.
See, all these ladies nice and relaxed and set up. You watch that elbow down or a little farther back. Nice and firm at the line. That's way right, and yeah, that was a good 3 boards right of anything she's thrown so far.
Well, I saw about 24 of these last night in our league. We bowled on a pattern in our Flat Earth League called I Want My Mama, and I was screaming that a number of times during the evening.
I believe you and your entire Flat Earth League was, because there was 1/600 out of 30 bowlers in that league.
And it was 600, and well, there is some talent in our league. But it was a very humbling shot, but I walked up and down the Parisville and everyone enjoyed it, because how often can you bowl on a pattern that's tougher than a U.S. Open pattern?
No, absolutely. I mean, all these ladies that showed up here today, they knew what the pattern was going to be on the lanes before they got here. They could bring the equipment they wanted. You know, a little more advantage than we had 20 or 30 years ago, where they didn't name the lane patterns or anything of that nature. But lane conditioning back then was much more simpler, fighting the urethane bowling balls and plastic bowling balls than they are with these reactive resin balls today.
Well, you know, you're right. In today's game, as Shannon throws a great shot, you need to have some knowledge of location of your pin, on your ball surfaces, and what each ball allows you to see on a given lane condition.
I mean, there's always been debates of, oh, would the good bowlers from the 50s and 60s still be good bowlers today? Absolutely, because they would have taken the time to learn everything about the new bowling balls and lane conditions and all that, and they still would have had the physical games to get out there and compete.
Right.
Walter Ray Williams, prime example of that. When he started bowling on tour, plastic and urethane were the rage. Now it's resin, and he's still out there. He almost won the Japan Cup title, and he's 55 years old.
Right, and, you know, years back, you know, the Don Carters, the Dick Webbers, they were as good as the Walter Rays and Pete Webbers of today, but today's game has more quality good players, or great players, let's say, as Charlie shows off ripping a rack there. So she's taking control of the match.
Yeah, any good count here, and she's going to lock Shannon Lubinsky out, and Charlie Bolter is going to advance to that championship match against Katie Zwiefoff, and 9 is enough right there.
9 is enough, and even with a miss, she's in the 230s.
So yeah, Shannon's maximum right now is 230. So
so we could have a tie.
No. Charlie's got 237 even if she misses.
Oh,
right
even
now.
with a miss.
Yeah, even with a miss. So yeah, Charlie's got this one. I think Mercedes back there, Shannon's daughter, was trying to cheer Mom on a little bit more right before the end. But unfortunately, Mercedes doesn't get to see her mom bowl for the championship today. But I'm sure she'll watch this on TV when it's on, and watch Mom's DVD copy. We always give all our bowlers a copy of their shows on DVD, and Mercedes and Genevieve will be watching Mom a lot for sure.
And the girls are lucky to have a mom such as Shannon. She gives back to our sport. She's a great coach.
Absolutely.
A great wife, according to Steve.
Good brother-in-law, good sister-in-law, according to Dave. And she's got the date for the next year's Junior Hall of Fame tournament set, I believe, as November 8th, 2015. They had 90 teams out there this year.
Yeah, they packed the house, don't they?
At AMF Bolero, yeah. Full house is had every year there, and I'm sure they're going to do it again next year. So I know they have a Facebook page for Junior Hall of Fame. Just look for that. And if you're interested in getting any tournament information, go to Facebook, type in Junior Hall of Fame, and join that page, and they'll get you all the tournament information as things get closer, and entry blanks, and how to get all the entry forms in, how you want to make a donation if you care to do that. They always have a great raffle there. I've donated prizes the last couple of years as well for them. So Shannon really the quality, best junior event in the area, I'd have to say.
Well, without question. In fact, one of the finer junior events in the nation. Shannon catches a double here, so a good showing by both girls today.
Boy, if I can run tournaments like Keith Yonan and the Sean Yonan Memorial and Shannon with their Junior Hall of Fame, boy, I'd have some nice fields out there for some of these youth tournaments.
Yes, you would. But at least there's enough venues for these junior bowlers of today to compete and kind of see where your game matches up compared to the others.
Yeah, and let those highlight events such as the Junior Hall of Fame and the Sean Yonan Memorial, let them find the best of the best out of those big fields. Not a bad game for Shannon there, 228, but with 237, Charlie Bolter's going to advance into a championship match. Shannon gets a hug there. End things up. We're going to come back from Classic Lanes Greenfield in just a moment for the championship match of the Wisconsin Women's Open for 2014. Charlie Bolter takes the semifinal match from Shannon Lubinsky with a 237 to 228 victory. Now the big test of the day for Charlie, the championship match. Katie Zwiefelhofer versus Charlie Bolter, and you got experience with Charlie, you've got youth, and an incredible amount of skill that's been learned in a short period of time. You look at Katie here, Division II and III NCAA Player of the Year for the last season. I don't know who to give this match early on to.
Well, experience, you've got to go with Charlie. She's a 33-year bowling veteran with 14 300s. And Katie, who's no stranger to the TV shows, great opening shot for Katie. Only one 300 game, and a 19-year bowling veteran. She began at age 3. Now, we know Charlie's been here before. She can handle the pressure, but nothing seems to bother Katie either. No,
and Katie dominated the field all day. Led qualifying by over 100 pins in her third, fourth, and fifth games today. She put together an 800 series and would have been recorded as an 800 because of games 3, 4, and 5. But with a 270, a 260, and a 250 those 3 games, she had a little baby 800 out there.
No such thing as a baby 800, Phil. They're huge.
Exactly. But opening spare on that 10 pin for Katie. We don't see Katie missing spares very often, and we haven't seen Charlie other than that 10 pin in the 10th frame that really didn't matter last game. She hasn't missed much of anything today. She's never missed the pocket.
Well, let's hope you're not putting a dark cloud over her head. And she knows it's going to take at least 9 great shots to stay in the match with Katie. Gets an opening break there. Yeah, can't chop 9.
Yeah, a little spinny off the hand. Leaves herself just the 2 pin. A nice break there. The head pin comes off the sideboard and barely tickles out the 4 and the 5.
When you say spinny, that can be from a little bit early turn or topping the ball, and the ball skids further when it's spun compared to roll. Rolling helps the ball read the lane a little bit sooner.
No problem. Right up and through. Hopefully the mechanic wasn't working him back right there. That ball right through the back of the pin setter past the kickback. Could have done a little damage to someone back there.
How many 710s Charlie's made in her career?
I bet you at least a couple. I bet you Katie's probably made 1 or 2 as well. Both of them.
I would think.
Ladies can amp that ball speed 19, 20 miles an hour if they need it. See, nice and relaxed. The shoulder down at setup, stays down all the way through the shot. Ooh,
and we did see the left lane hooking a little bit stronger. Happened to Shannon a couple shots and some of the other girls compared to 14. So with all these games being played and balls being thrown in a similar line, it's very possible a lot of that oil has been removed.
So let's see what Charlie does next time up here, but right now it's just get the 2, move on, and stay close in the match. Gets the 2. If she would have made that, it would have been a $100 award from EBC Productions for either a Big 4 or a 710 conversion. 7.5 years, still haven't given that $100 away. It's really starting to gather dust.
Yeah, and every year I'm sure more 710s are converted than 4, 6, 710s.
Yep, even in the history of the PBA Tour, 3 710 conversions to 1 Big 4 conversion.
Walter Ray.
Yes, indeed.
Out of the pit on a kind of a lucky shot.
Gotta get that lucky bounce either way, whether it's a big 4 or a 7-10. And you can see Katie right there asking that ball to flip up. Did it right at the last couple of feet. Got the 5-pin to go into the 7, take it out for her first strike of this game.
Yeah, Katie throwing the Roto Grip Sinister, annihilating the pins on impact there, and that's kind of their skid flip asymmetric ball, meaning it's a pearl hybrid cover, a little bit of solid in it, but about 70% pearl. Definitely gives her good length, strong back end. Good ball for Katie when she needs hook and back end. And now we saw Katie hook the ball more than she typically does, so she got some great recovery down lane.
Yeah, she knows she got away with that. When you see she's back there talking to her dad, Steve, just going big exhale, going, yeah, I know I got away with that one. Built into a nice double for her, and now Charlie's got to bounce back. And it's tough to do sometimes watching your opponent get that little bit of a lucky break. You're working on an open, and they kind of put the accelerator down and step away with a double on you.
Well, that's it. Katie may have adjusted her line on lane 13 after seeing Charlie's ball go high.
Charlie made a ball change there, but that ball deflected a great deal at the pocket.
Yeah, it got to the pocket flush, but if it doesn't go through the pins correctly, you're going to leave something. And, oh yeah, major deflection there on entry.
Yeah, and we know she was watching that one all the way down. We'll see if she sticks with that ball going into the 4th frame, but right now the key for her here is just stepping up, covering the single pin, and moving on.
So after an opening 278 game, it's funny how the game can go away so quickly with pin carry.
Well, and even the second game, 6 in a row, 237 game because of an errant spare attempt in the 10th frame. Another great game by Charlie, and she had to sit around and watch while Katie got her practice balls during the commercial break. So the lanes can change even with 4 shadow balls in each lane by Katie. Katie playing a similar line, a little bit of an aggressive bowling ball can make that oil pattern change ever so slightly to cause Charlie problems. Stays with that ball she switched to, and a little late reaction. The 5 goes in front of the 7.
Yeah, she hit the 5 strong with the ball, but not quite strong enough where it would go into the 7.
So it makes you wonder if she's going to stick with that ball going from here on out, because she knows she's got to find something to carry with real quick.
Well, she's 0 for 4 with strikes in her first 4 frames. Her opponent's got a double on her already early in the match. She can't wait too much longer, Phil.
Considering Charlie hasn't gone more than a frame without striking today, and wow, that's a big surprise. The spare making we've seen Charlie shoot all day, pulls that ball into the gutter, and quickly down 38 pins to Katie Zwiefelhofer. And Katie, if she can get 2 more strikes out here, it could be a 58-pin lead by the time we get to the commercial break. It could be almost practically match over.
Well, as all great bowlers do in this situation, they smell blood in the water, and they want to pounce on their opponent.
Katie goes long 5-step stride of the line, and boy, she's got that light hit working for her today, Joey.
She's got a good look on the lane, nice aggressive speed, and it seems like she's loose enough with her swing where she can trust it a little bit out and in, which is typically not Katie's game we've seen on TV.
No, she's usually very direct through the heads, and she's got that little bit of belly right now. That's a little bit of a difference between her and Char's game. They're playing the same area of the lane at the break point.
Maybe her boyfriend Ryan has been working with her to get just a little bit more axis rotation on that ball so she can hook it a little bit more, which will just, well, give her more headaches at times, but it'll also allow her to play on more patterns properly. Great shot there.
Absolutely great shot. Last commercial break of the day coming up. Katie Zwiefelhofer, a 58-pin lead. Well, we got to make a bowl 10 frames no matter what. Join us for the rest of this match from Classic Lanes Greenfield in just a moment. Katie Zwiefelhofer's jumped out to a 58-pin lead after 4.5 frames here for the Wisconsin Women's Open. Charlie Bolter, a little bit of riding the struggle bus right now. 2 opens, 2 spares in her first 4 frames, and we've seen Charlie string strikes earlier today. She really needs to do that now, Joey.
Well, let's see what kind of adjustment she makes. She's staying, it appears to be with the same ball, the Roto Grip Hyper Cell.
Yeah, she switched to another ball for the 3rd and 4th frames, didn't like the reaction, and back to the original, and Now she's back in the pocket.
Sometimes we think it's the ball and we just need to throw it better, but you don't know until you try.
Exactly.
And as Jason Belmonte told me, you don't want to die wondering. When you think it's time to make a ball change, make it.
Well, and especially because Katie goes spare, strike, strike, and Charlie's sitting on the bench with spare open. Yeah, there was really nothing to lose at that point in time. And now she's got that ball working for her again, and we see her with a double.
You got to get that first one and your second one before you can string 8 or 9 in a row, and she's going to need about the last 8 to have a chance in this match.
Yeah, Charlie can strike out for 232. I mean, Katie right now max is 290, and even if she gets a couple of spares in there, she's still in the 240s easily at this pace.
Five step.
Yeah, looking for 5 in a row here. Wants that ball to get up, and she's got that light shot working on 14.
Well, Katie has definitely increased her rev rate from last time I saw her throw. Definitely more axis rotation, which is another way of saying side turn on the ball.
Well, she's done with her collegiate career at UW-Whitewater. She had her 4 years of eligibility, but she's still in school, finishing up her degree this year. And she's been assistant coaching the women's team there this year, and she actually took a JV squad up to the Titan Invitational a couple of weeks back and coached that JV team to a tournament win over a lot of varsity squads from area college teams. So that was a good day for Katie, and unfortunately not a good time for that 10-pin to show up for her.
No, not a good time, but again, she's still in control of the match. Katie, we know, does not miss spares.
And if she does miss spares, all of her players are going to let her know it, because when you coach, you got to lead by example. So I see no problem with her covering up this spare if all goes to plan, which it does.
Yeah, I think Katie had a string of, 3 or 4 shows without missing a spare.
Yeah, back in the Youth Challenge Series days, she also had a string of 4 shows where she won titles as well. The only bowler to ever win 4 consecutive titles in our Youth Challenge Series.
Utter domination.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, Charlie on a double, correct?
Charlie on a double, yes.
So if she can add to that to get back in the match, at least put a little bit of pressure on Katie.
Well, she can knock that lead back down another 10 pins by throwing the strike, which Charlie does right there, and keeps that lead back down to 47 pins. But Katie's got that spare up there. If Charlie can throw another strike, knock it down to 37 pins, and we've seen it before where a 40-pin lead isn't safe with 3 frames to go.
Well, exactly, and you do need a little help from your opponent sometimes with an open, but at least do your part and try and get strikes.
Mike Hagen and Chris Barnes in the, I believe, U.S. Open a few years ago. Chris Barnes with a 50-pin lead with 3 frames to go, and Hagen came back to win. And another great shot by Charlie. She's got that ball working for her now with 4 in a row.
Yeah, Michael Hagen, I believe, threw all strikes, and I think Chris had 1 or 2 opens in there.
A couple opens, and he needed to carry a shot in the 11th frame and left the 4-pin to have Hagen win. It's always a great title to have on your resume, U.S. Open champion.
Especially when you don't expect it. You're bowling Chris Barnes, you figure, I just need to show up and have a good showing, and to come back and win it had to be the highlight of his career.
Had to be, and I think Katie wants to take lane 14 home with her, back to, or at least back to school with her to Whitewater. I don't know if she'd want to take it home to Racine. She's had a pretty good career at Castle Lanes down there, and Phil's got his 24 lanes pretty full down there. I don't think he can afford to fit another lane in.
Well, maybe Katie will put one in her basement when
there we go.
She decides to move out on her own.
9th frame, a strike here would really force Charlie Bolter to strike out in the 9th and 10th. And a little bit wide, and that's never an easy thing to look at.
It's not a gimme for a spare, especially when you're throwing a little bit of a hook. And will she use her spare ball, or will she opt for her strike ball?
Katie always throws her spare balls. That she's had that drilled into her during her college career.
So less chance to chop it, and it's all percentages.
So take the lane out of play as much as possible. Take the hand out of the ball a little bit, and that's direct. And wow! And just as we say, less of a chance to chop. You couldn't do it any cleaner.
And she threw it from the left side of the approach, which makes it even more in her favor not to chop it. But if the ball's in the wrong place, it's going to chop it.
Well, that really makes things interesting here, because Charlie Bolter can strike out for 232, That would force Katie to double in the 10th frame to win this title. For Charlie to put any pressure on Katie's Wiefhofer right now, a strike here is a must. Looking for 5 in a row. It's a little right out of her hand, but she got the wall shot.
And it's a good thing it hit light, because that's the kind of shot where if you hit solid, it's going to be a soft 10. So you're better off just tickling those ivories and knocking them over.
Boy, commercial break time. I was thinking, boy, what do we have to do to make this match interesting towards the end, Joey? We're talking about stuff. The ladies have taken care of that for us right now, making it interesting.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever made a match interesting, but we may have put a few of our listeners to sleep at times, but the girls are doing a great job.
Yes, indeed. Charlie looking to get 6th in a row.
Big shot, and she is here to play.
232 still possible out here. If Charlie can strike on this shot, it's going to force Katie's Wiefhofer to double in the 10th frame.
Right, and Katie has not struck in 2 of her last 3 shots. So this is the match right here as far as I'm concerned for Charlie. And she's going to take her time, take a deep breath, and compose herself.
And the only thing Katie's got to be feeling good about on the bench is that she's 4 for 4 on lane 14 so far. Lane she's had struggles on, lane 13 she's done with.
Yeah, we know how quickly that can turn, but I know what you're saying. Better to go on a lane you have a little more confidence on.
Yeah, and that's why she picked to finish last on that lane. She was more comfortable on lane 14. Unbelievable. The last place you want to see that when you need to strike to put pressure on, and you stone an 8-pin.
Yeah, and that is a dagger through the heart for Charlie, because she knows her only chance was a strike there, and I mean, she threw it about as good as you can throw a ball.
Well, it goes from forcing Katie's Wiefhofer to double in the 10th frame to win, to now just getting a mark in the 10th in order to win this 2014 Wisconsin Women's Open title and a $600 first place prize, $350 for second place. You see Charlie back there getting a couple of hugs, consolation hugs right there, because that's just a tough way to get yourself back in a position for a title and possibly lose it.
Well, we'll see if Katie makes it easier on herself by striking. No, she does not. She's going to earn it if she's going to win this title.
Yeah, and she kind of pulled up on that shot, and you could see her dad Steve back there a little nervous right now. He'd probably want to be the one out there throwing the spare for his daughter. It'd be less nervous for him than watching.
You know, and we've seen 10 pins missed in critical situations before. As good a spare shooter as she is, you never know if nerves are going to creep in.
All over that, no doubt. She turned around when that ball was about 45 feet down the lane and knew it. And chewing the gum on the way back. Nice
chewing her gum like it was no big thing. And
I had butterflies back here watching that.
But that's why bowlers practice, so they can be in that situation and treat the match the same as they do a practice session.
Yeah, and how about that? Get your first adult title coming out of youth leagues. Hey, and let's just make it pretty much one of Wisconsin's major women's titles here with the Wisconsin Women's Open.
Yeah, she did have to stay behind the line, and she was just behind it, but she carries a nice light mixer for a 227-221 victory.
Absolutely. Joe Serrano and I will be back from Class Lanes Greenfield to wrap up this championship match in just a moment. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Barbier's Italian Inn, featured in onmilwaukee.com's In Search of the Perfect Pizza in January 2013. Near Miller Park on Blue Mound Road and on Milwaukee Avenue in South Milwaukee. Providing premier equipment sales and services to Wisconsin bowlers since 1973. Check out our Wall of Fame and our current specials at bpsmilwaukee.com. Well, Joey, we get to the commercial break in the championship match. I'm talking to you during the break. I'm thinking it's over. Katie's Wiefhofer, 4-bagger up 58 pins. Charlie Bolter's struggling. She's got 2 opens. And all of a sudden, Charlie switches back to the original ball she used today after the commercial break, starts throwing a bunch of strikes. Katie has a little struggle, and then Charlie has a chance to get up to the 10th frame and really put the pressure on. And, boy, that 8-pin was just vicious in the 11th shot.
And, you know, our hearts go out to Charlie. I mean, that's not the way you want to lose a match, but we got to give her a lot of credit to get back in the match.
Yeah, and Katie's Wiefhofer showed up in the 10th frame, needed this mark to win, Made that 10-pin, got a strike to fill it in for the 227, the 221 victory, and take home that $600 first place prize. Well, we're not done having the women on TV bowling for 2014. Next tournament from Sunset Bowl, the Sunset Bowl mixed doubles tournament. 1 man, 1 woman per team. And, boy, we always get such a huge quality feel out there. We get Hall of Famers, we get young guns. And, boy, I'll tell you what, with the 4 teams that'll make the show next time from Sunset Bowl, we could see scores just like we saw today.
Well, I'm sure of it. And my money's on the women. The men are going to have to get their act together to keep pace with these girls.
No doubt about that. So join us. Thanks to our friends at Time Warner Cable Sports Channel for that next show. If you have any bowling needs this holiday season, go down and see Joe Serrar at Bowlers Pro Shop on South Hall Avenue, Milwaukee. And for Joe Serrar, I'm Phil Bridlow. Parents, take the kids bowling. They'll have fun for life. We'll see you on the next show coming to you from Sunset Bowl in Waukesha.